Hello everybody and welcome back to Gregtech. New Horizons. How's you guys' day been? Good? Let me know down in the comments below. So last episode we set up proper item storage. We're no longer using drawers and everything is now stored on ME storage cells. So we have subdivided some of our stuff here. A lot of our main bulk items are partitioned to 1024K storage cells to just hold all the bulk of stuff. Otherwise, all the regular cells here will be filled with all of those items. So these ones here are just for everything else. These ones are for the bulk of items. And now currently 2 cells are full, the marble and basalt. But that's mainly because our ore processing or the resource crop processing from ICU2 crops isn't running at the moment. And that's all because of power, which we're going to fix today. We also got auto crafting set up last episode, and this thing has actually been so helpful. Like, it's been amazing. Like, everything in here is more almost pretty much autocraft. I still need to do some manual settings in here, like for circuits and stuff for certain recipes, but more or less everything is automated and it's just amazing. And it has helped me a lot for preparing for today. So what is going to be happening today? Like I said, we're going to be fixing our current power issue. We're having an issue right now where we're just not producing enough benzene to keep these turbines running 24/7. Now, right now, we do have quite a bit of benzene built up, but that was mainly because this thing did run out of power at one point. So all of the machines that were running using power have now been turned off. So only I think the EBFs are currently using power at the moment. So yeah, we're not actually draining that much power. And of course, I did increase the size of the battery. So it's quite tall and it now holds 37 billion EU. Nearly 39. Now, this thing can go quite tall, but of course we've hit the ceiling now. So if I want to go any higher, I'm going to have to go through the ceiling. But I think it'd be better to upgrade the actual capacitors inside, but that's going to require a new tier of glass, which I'm not prepared to make just yet. So how are we going to be fixing this issue right here? Benzene. Well, we're going to be upgrading the setup down here. We're going to be replacing the pyrolysis ovens with industrial coke ovens, which are more compact and use way less power and are like 10 times faster. Probably is overshooting it, but yeah, they are very fast. So if we have a look in here at this guy here, the coke oven, he looks like this. Now, this one here requires bronze heat resistant coke oven casing. This one is steel. And yeah, it only goes high as steel. So we're going to be using the steel variant and we're going to be building it down over there where that stone is. So we're going to be building it on the upper level above our current benzene setup. And then where benzene is being made now, we're going to be replacing that with chemical plants. And then chemical plants are going to be used for making nitrobenzene. Yeah, we're going to be upgrading our benzene to nitrobenzene. And also I'm planning on running this nitrobenzene through the XL gas turbines. Now, if you remember, to make XL gas turbines, we're going to need LUV tier power inside of our ABFs, the alloy blast melter, because we need Xeron. Xeron is, like I said, only be able to made in this guy here, which requires LUV tier energy hatch. So LUV energy hatch requires an assembly line. So, of course, we're going to be making this today. We're going to be going all over the place a bit, making everything and diving straight into LUV as well. So before we begin anything, we're going to have to start preparing a couple of materials that we're going to need for this here. And one of the materials is samarium. Samarium isn't something we're able to really get right now. We can, it requires a long chemical process using monazite and stuff, but we don't really have that set up. We will eventually, but right now we don't. So how are we supposed to get samarium? So we currently have 4 rods right here. Got these as a quest reward a while back when I made the IV polarizer. So there's actually a little bit of sneaky way we'll be able to make ourselves or duplicate the samarium. If we get our samarium rods, throw it through the macerator here to turn it into dust, combine the small piles to make an actual dust here, and if we throw the dust through a scanner with a data orb, it will scan it and learn the properties or like the makeup of the samarium. This is going to take 3,840 seconds, just over an hour. And this is essentially going to basically duplicate it for us. And the material we're going to be using to duplicate the samarium is the UU matter we're producing upstairs. So that's how we're going to do that. So while that's being scanned, let's get to work on actually making ourselves our coke ovens. Oh yeah, and I've also got this brand new tool, the Vajra. Vajra? I'm going to call it the Vajra. This guy here is basically like an insta-mine tool and even works while I'm flying. Unlike my old pickaxe where, like, if I try to mine something, you can see how slow it is while I'm flying. The Vajra just insta breaks. It's so good. Kind of expensive, but the fact it requires iridium reinforced plates, which is iridium, advanced alloy, exquisite diamonds, and put those through an implosion compressor. A little bit expensive, but it's definitely worth it. And I was kind of mainly just making a bunch of things in here for like IV loot bags because I wanted to get more Naquata. And Naquata is something we're going to need now today as well. I have 4 spare ingots right here. We're going to need those for making the LUV tier energy hatch. But yeah, I needed an Aquata cable to be able to make myself the transformer. Yeah, the ludicrous one here. This requires a 1x Aquata cable to make. And I'm going to need this if I'm going to be able to power everything here. So to make ourselves our coke ovens, we're going to be setting up 8 of them. So 8 industrial coke ovens. We're going to need structural coke oven casing and the heat proof casing. We're going to be running these guys at EV tier power, so EV energy hatches, and we're just going to need a bunch of muffler hatches, maintenance hatches, input and output buses and hatches, and we should be good to go. Right, let's build these guys. So they are a 3x3, and we're going to be doing 4 here and 4 over there. Have a ring of heat-proof casing, and then we'll put a U shape or a C, depending which way you're looking. We're going to have the center top empty. This is where the muffler hatch is going to go. And then the front top middle is where the maintenance hatch is going to go. All right. And then we're going to remove the 2 blocks either side of the controller. And these are where the inputs and outputs are going to go. So input bus is going to be on the outside of these 2. So left side, this one on the right side. So these 2 are going to face close to each other. And then we'll have our output bus here, here, and here and here. And these are both going to face into an interface. Behind the output bus is going to be, if I look up hatch, the fluid output hatch. And then behind the input hatch or the input bus is going to be the fluid input hatch. All right. I'm going to face everything down but the output buses. All right. So the next step is to actually get access to the AE system over here. So cable, some dense cable. We're also going to need to set up some P2Ps, regular cable. And yeah, let me just run the cable down. All right, and I want to enter this chunk here from the center. So it should be somewhere just along here. Here's the center of the chunk. So if that's the case, then we're going to have regular cable, P2P, and then the dense cable run up to it. And then we'll run the dense cable across to the middle. And then we're going to have it connect right here. Because there's going to be too many channels on this side and this side to be into a smaller cable. So we're going to have to split it between each other. Okay, that's the cable run underneath each one now. So the output buses, we said it's going to have an ME interface. And the rest of these guys are probably just going to have export buses and P2Ps. So the input here is going to be for the logs. So we're just going to use export buses on these guys. Let's just filter them so they're ready to go. And everything else is going to be P2P. Right, let's go hook up this P2P now to the actual controller. So for the fluid input, this is going to be nitrogen once the network connects and updates. Okay, there we go. So nitrogen. And for the fluid output, this is going to be wood tar. And that's the coke ovens more or less ready. Last thing to do is just add the energy hatches. All right, and we won't hook up any of the power just yet. Next up is the actual distillation towers. So we have a couple of options for distillation towers. We can either reuse the ones we currently are using down below. These ones right here. These ones are fairly slow. These ones take 1 second to turn 1 bucket of wood tar into 400 liters of benzene. But there's actually a better version. And I crafted 3 of them already. This guy. This is the Dan Goat Distillus. This guy is basically just a distillation tower on steroids. It just made 7 buckets of benzene just there. And we have 2 of them right here. So we're going to take the 2 of these guys and we're going to be setting them up above. So we're going to have one on this side and the other one over there. Now, the third one I made is actually being used for something for making the nitrobenzene, and that is distilled water. Since it's going to require 10 buckets at a time, I don't think a regular distillation tower is going to be fast enough to keep up with this. And oh yeah, the third option we were probably never going to use was the mega distillation tower. Processes 256 recipes at once. Yeah, this guy basically does better. So this guy, we want to have how many outputs? Essentially, actually, we're going to want to tear one of these down. And that is going to be this guy. And since this guy is already pretty fast, I don't even think we need to run this guy at a higher energy input. I'd say we could get away with just running this guy at EV. We'll see. If we need to have IV tier power to keep up with the amount of wood tower we're producing, we'll see. But essentially, we'll just put this guy here, maybe one more forward. And for the whole distillation tower, I guess we'll have the outputs come out the back. Yeah, and then we can have like the energy inputs. Yeah, the energy can still be right here. It's just we have our cable, which actually is clearing the bottom block. Okay, cool. All right, and for this guy to have enough outputs, he needs to be 6 blocks tall. And since this guy here can do batch mode, which is multiple buckets of stuff at once, we'll give him IV output hatches. All right, and then the top middle block is going to be a muffler hatch. We're going to need a maintenance bus. And we'll also, of course, give him the little lamp so we know if he needs maintenance. All right, and then as for energy, we said we're going to try EV, and if he needs more... Oh, wait, he's using 2 EV energy hatches down below. Okay, we'll give him the IV one then. All right, and now we just need to more or less wire everything up and filter the outputs. All right, everything is pretty much ready. So it's time to hook everything up to power. So right here, we're going to have Insane Transformer, High Amp, and then the Ludicrous. And we'll have to make sure they're facing into each other. So we're going to be inputting ZPM power here and outputting 16 amps of EV power right here. So for IV, we're just going to run this down and across. That's going to connect right here. We're outputting 4 amps of IV power. Should be more than enough. And for these ones, the EV, we're going to be using 2x EV superconductor. All right, there's actually one more thing I forgot to add, and that is the fluid input for the distillation tower. And this is going to be the wood tar input. All right, no explosions, please. Looks like we're good. So we just need to do the maintenance for all of the coke ovens now. And the last step then before we turn them on is to set the circuit in here to circuit 10. All right, we can go ahead and turn them on now. And immediately turn them back off because that is so loud. Give them all muffling hatches first. All right, and that makes 9 buckets of wood tar and 120 charcoal at a time. Turn on batch mode, it makes 18 at a time. And all the extra charcoal, unlike our old system below is using fluid extractors, we're using the multi-block fluid extractor, the same one that we're using for making like UU matter as part of our IC2 crops production. All right, and then this guy here should also be good to turn on. No valid recipe found. Oh yes, he requires circuit 1. And there we go. It is making benzene. Now it takes 0.25 seconds to make 1 bucket, but to that, 40 buckets of benzene every less than 6.5 seconds. Damn, that is so good. And like, yeah, it's immediately being filled back up thanks to how fast these guys run here. And they should run for quite a while. We have 12 million spruce logs to run through. And are we... Okay, it looks like we are using them up faster than we are making them. But we're getting these logs for free, so it doesn't matter. Okay, cool. So all I have to do now is rebuild this setup over there. And right, there we go. We have our second new benzene up and running. And yeah, this guy's doing 40 buckets at a time. I'm not sure if... Okay, no, it is able to keep up. This guy got like 300 buckets in there for a while, but it does seem to be exporting fast enough into the P2P. So with that, I think actually we're still making more wood tar than we're processing. Yeah, this is slowly climbing. Okay, so then sometimes it looks like it drops, but I think it is going up. Will this hit number 3 hit 4? Or is it actually going down? Oh, no, it hit 4. So yeah, we're slowly climbing on wood tar. And we are still kind of dropping on benzene. I think it's because of how inefficient these guys are. And the fact they're running right now isn't helping. But we're not going to be using regular benzene much longer. We're going to be upgrading it. So now is the next part. We're still got probably what's that? Another 1,000 seconds on our scanner. So that's still going to take a little bit. So I guess while we're waiting, let's start preparing now for the nitrobenzene, which means I have to tear down everything you see here, apart from the turbines and of course the battery. But the old benzene setup, yeah, that gotta go. Right, time to destroy. All right, so the old benzene setup has now been cleared away and our scanner is now done with our samarium. So we're just going to move this tank and we're going to need a replicator. So IV replicator, let's put this guy right here. Put the data orb in here, remove that, grab a tank. And I just forgot I left the UU matter in this chest here. So I have 2 tanks or 2 cells of UU matter, and we're going to be using that to replicate samarium. So we just put that in there. Looks like it can only hold 3 buckets at a time. That's why we're using a tank. Auto item ejection is enabled. And this is going to take 600 seconds per samarium. So hopefully by the time we have finished getting nitrobenzene up and running, this guy should have made a few that we can actually use. And while we're waiting for that, let's get these items here being scanned. For us to be able to make the LUV tiers of these components, we need to do a little bit of research. So it reads the research result here. And to get this one here, for example, the robot arm, you have to scan the previous tier. And then the same thing will also happen then later on for ZPMs. You have to scan the LUV and so on. So we'll just put the data stick in here, put the components up in here, and that's going to scan each one and do some research on them. And it looks like this one's going to take 450 seconds. I think the time might vary depending on how complex the component is. I say the robot arm will probably take the longest. 7,000 seconds LV, we're using IV, so yeah, 450 seconds. Okay, maybe it is the same for each one. And actually there's one more component we're also going to have to scan. Data stick, and that is actually going to be for the energy hatch. We need to scan an IV energy hatch. So one more data stick in here with the IV energy hatch. All right, and then we'll just let those scan. So let's get to work now and actually building our nitrobenzene setup. So we're going to be using chemical plants. So titanium casing, we're going to need IV machine casing, and we're then going to need, what else? The HSSG coil blocks, we're going to be doing that. I don't think the coil blocks matter. I think that just increases the paralyzation of it, or maybe the pipe casing does. Maybe I do need these tier of coils, I'm not sure. But we're just going to be following exactly what the diagram said in here. So tier 5 titanium in here, change this to tier 5. This is what we're going for. So center of the chunk, I think is along this line right here. Yes, it is. So this is 7 by 7. Okay, and across the bottom then is going to be the IV machine casing. So we're going to have a 3 by 3 square in the center. We're going to surround that with more of this IV machine casing. In the center then, we're going to have a layer of coil blocks. On top of the coil blocks, pipe casing. Another layer of coil blocks. Another layer of pipe casing. And then one more layer of coil blocks. And then we surround the coil blocks then in the machine casings. And then we cap the whole thing off with the titanium casing. All right. And then we're going to need the extra controllers, fluid inputs, and a catalyst housing. Oh yeah, and then maintenance hatches. So controller dead center. I'm going to break these 2 blocks here. We're going to have 4 fluid inputs in the front. Then on the side here, we're going to have the fluid output. This is where the nitrobenzene is going to come out. So in here, then we're going to be inputting benzene, sulfuric acid, nitric acid, and distilled water. So right here, we're going to have our maintenance hatch. We're going to try and keep the maintenance hatch kind of close together so they're easy to fix. So we're going to be having like 4 of these guys in total. We're going to have 1 here and then 2 more over there. So we just need then the catalyst housing right here. And that should form the multi-block. Yes, it does. And all we have to do now is start inputting in the fluids. So if to do that, we're going to have to run an ME connection over. Oh yeah, and we're also going to have to get power to this as well. Power, we're going to go with IV, and we're just going to input it in through the back right here. So I'm planning on running a cable from this Lapatronic supercapacitor. So if I go about here, and we're going to drive a cable straight into the wall here. I have to do a little bit of clearing back there. But we'll run a cable over, and then we'll do the similar setup here. We'll do some insane transformers, ludicrous transformer voltage down, and that should be enough to power these guys. I'm going to split it off twice. So we're going to have 2 transformers breaking off this way and then down that way. So let me go ahead and run the actual cable up and get this guy plugged into power. All right, once I connect this cable here, everything should be live. No explosions, that's good. I'm always terrified of that. Right, so the ME system is connected up. I already went ahead and connected up the output, which is for the nitrobenzene. So let's just add the inputs. So first up, benzene. Then we have sulfuric acid. Then we have nitric acid. And finally, distilled water. All right, and to make all of this work together, we're going to need a breakthrough circuit of circuit 12. So I've already gone ahead and done the maintenance. Let's give this thing a muffle upgrade. Don't want my ears bleeding like it did with the coke ovens. And we'll turn it on. There we go. 40 buckets of nitrobenzene. That's a lot. And only takes 12 seconds. I thought it'll go a little bit faster. I mean, I could make it go faster, but I don't think we're going to need it to go faster. Unless the XL gas turbines start chugging this stuff. But I don't think it will. I think with how fast they're going to be producing power, once this thing is filled, there's going to be plenty of benzene to be produced. So all I have to do now is the same with this one and the other 2 over there. So let me go ahead and get them set up. All right, chemical plants up and running, benzene being made. Perfect. So now that we have plenty of benzene coming in, how much have we made so far? It's only been a couple of minutes. 7 million buckets of it, or millibuckets, 7,000 buckets. Not bad. And are we keeping up with distilled water output? Yes, we are. Good. So we can now finally move on to the assembly line. To craft each one of the LUV components, we're going to need to make them through an assembly line. So we're going to need everything for that. So that is going to be great machine casing. We're going to need reinforced glass, the solid steel machine casing, assembly line casing, and did I take them out of the system? No, I didn't. So the assembly line I crafted beforehand, mainly because it's going to take forever to try and craft it right now, mainly because it requires 6 ZPM tier circuits each for the casings. So yeah, making 15 of these guys took quite a while. So let's go ahead now and actually go and build this guy. And we're going to be building it right here. This is just a temporary location for it. So solid steel machine casing. And we need to look at what recipe is the longest. And I think the longest recipe is the robot arm. This requires 9 inputs. So we're going to have to make this thing 10 blocks long. So 3, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And for each one of these guys, we're going to need a ULV input bus. Did I take them out of the system? No, I didn't. So ULV, this guy right here, we're going to need 1 output bus. There we go. And then just 9 of these. Yeah, because for each component, you can only have 1 input at a time in each one of these guys to actually craft the whole thing. So it's kind of a whole long process. If you watched my Mods 9 series, you would have seen me build the same thing. It took me forever to figure the thing out. But anyway, so right here is going to be the assembly line. The great machine casing is going to go along the side of it. In the center right here is going to be this assembly casing. Next to that then is going to be reinforced glass. more of this stuff along here. And then on top of this, this is where the assembly machine casing is going to go. The one that costs 6 ZPM to your circuits. Then on top of that is going to be some solid steel machine casing, except for the final 2. This is going to be for the energy input. So maintenance hatch, and actually beside the controller, we're going to have a data access hatch. And then we're going to have 3 fluid inputs. Most of them only require like 2 fluids, like molten indent alloy 140. But the energy hatch requires IC2 coolant, so we're going to add that in as well. So we're going to have IC2 coolant, the alloy, and lubricant. And to hook it up to power, we're going to have a transformer from LUV, this cable's LUV, down to IV. And that's the whole thing built. Did the structure form? Yes, it did. And we just need to do the maintenance, and it is ready to go. Right, so for the inputs, I've already went ahead and crafted like all the patterns for it. So they're all in here. All we have to do is request it and we should be good. Is this guy buffering? Oh, the benzene tank is actually full. Nice. So in here, we have all of the data sticks done. It's currently still working on the energy hatch, but that's fine. And we've gotten 4 samarium dust so far. So samarium, don't have any in the system. We want to throw through a blast furnace on circuit 1. So let that smelt up, and then we want to throw that cooked samarium ingot through the input of the industrial extrusion for rods. That will make us samarium rods, and then we just throw those through the polarizer to be magnetized. So the first thing we want to do is calculate exactly how many motors we're going to need. And I think I've already done that with the amount of items I've set up in here. You can press Control and Shift at the same time to increase or decrease like the recipe here. So you can see for 16 electric motors, we're going to need 16 magnetic samarium, 32 long HSSS, 2048 fine rubidite, 32 yttrium barium. And actually, that's another material I need to get set up. So, yttrium barium, I've already gone ahead and made some of the ingots for it. So this, we just want to throw through a wire mill on circuit 1. And we're also going to need this polysulfide foil to coat it. Right, and then all the data sticks that we made, they go up inside here. And I think we're more or less ready to get started. We don't have enough samarium just yet, but we have enough to get a few things going. So I guess we might as well work towards getting these 2 machines right here. So to be able to make ourselves the XL gas turbine, we're going to need an elite assembling machine at LUV. So that's going to require 2 robot arms and 2 conveyor belts. So how many components or how many motors is that? So it looks like 3 per robot arm. So that is 6 and then 4. So we're going to need 10 in total. And we only have enough for 8. Or, nope, now the samarium's finished. This should give us our 10 motors. So, LUV, we want to craft 10 motors. Off it goes. It'll export all of the materials into this chest right here, once it's made everything. Probably needs to craft, yeah, it has to craft the wire. Alright, here's everything we need for 10 motors. Oh yeah, we're also going to need the lubricant and the alloy. I've already prepared the alloy here, we just need to go down and get the lubricant. So alloy in here and lubricant in here. Let's just go underneath. And we can start inputting everything. We have to make sure we put it in order that it follows right here. So start with samarium, ending in yttrium barium cuprate cable. So samarium, HSS, 2 stacks of fine rubidite, and the cable. So we've already done the maintenance. It is ready to go. It is definitely hooked up to power. I don't want to void anything. Looks like we're good to go. So let's turn it on. No valid recipe. Why is that? Does it really count the input hatch as an empty spot? Are you joking me? You're telling me I'm going to have to do it this way for it to work. Why? I guess it doesn't matter. I'm going to have to do it by hand. I'm going to have to figure out how I'm going to automate this thing. It's going to be a lot more complicated than what I did in All the Mods 9. So, yeah. We're going to have to figure that out at some point. But I just have to keep adding in the rubidite until we've crafted all 10. All right, the motors are done. So yeah, we just need to craft ourselves 2 robot arms. Oh yeah, it's going to require pistons. So we have to do pistons first. So 2 pistons. Off it goes. And then we just have to craft the rest of the thing. So I guess I'll see you when I have everything for the assembling machine. All right, we should have everything we need now. So we have an elite assembling machine. Nice. And I also crafted everything we need now for an elite fluid solidifier. We're going to need this now to actually solidify the Zeron once we actually make it. So up here, then we're just going to plug it into the LUV power source that we have right here. So definitely LUV. Yep. And the fluid solidifier can go right next to it. So in here now, we want to take an LUV pump. We're going to take some superconductor. This is the LUV one. This is made... How is this made again? This is made in a mixer with titanium, copper, tin, barium, and indium with oxygen. So in you go in there. We're going to need some helium. So let's go down and grab some. We're also going to need some tiny enderium pipe. So tiny pipe. Swap this out for just a second. Come on. You can turn on. There we go. And that then combined with the superconductor will make us the proper superconductor LUV cable. We're going to need this as part of the actual energy hatch. So they go in there, circuit 9, and off it goes. So now that that's being made, the only thing we're waiting on now is what? So for the energy hatch, we need... Actually, we have everything pretty much. Oh yeah, we need the UHPIC wafer and some coils. This is rubidite and more magnetic samarium. And I've used up all the samarium. So I guess we'll just have to wait now until we have more samarium being crafted. Yeah, we're close to having one more in here. And that should be enough to craft us our energy hatch. But yeah, we'll have to wait for that. So for us to make ourselves the wafer, let's have a look here. Do I have any HPIC? No, I don't. So that is molten vanadium gallium and indium gallium phosphide with a PIC wafer. PIC? Yes, we do. Gallium phosphide. And do we already have the vanadium? I have gallium arsenide. It was the vanadium gallium it needs. And we'll also melt down our Narquata, since we're going to need that then as well. So up here in the chemical reactor, fluid input, add that in here. That thing is full of zinc. Let's just dump that. Add in our PIC and indium gallium. This thing should turn on. There we go. HPIC wafer. And actually, now that I think about it, I think we need to actually upgrade this guy to actually LUV tier. And we're going to have to do the same on the cutting machine here to actually make it work. So this is the energy hatch. We should be able to replace this energy hatch or this casing with the energy hatch. That should make this thing run at LUV. And this guy, once it finishes, 60 seconds. Okay, I didn't realize it was that long. Oh, it's making multiple. I didn't want to make multiple. All right, so that's been upgraded. So we want to swap it out for now Narquata. And to upgrade this guy, we need more indium gallium phosphide. So these two in here, turn it on. UHPIC, and once that's finished, we just need to cut it up. So I guess I'll see you then when I have everything I need for this now. So we're close. We just need an LUV machine hull, IC2 coolant. I'm gonna have to request some more circuits. I think we're out of LUV circuits. No, we still have some. Okay, we're good. All right, UHPIC wafer, cut you up. This thing should work. Yeah, there we go. So while that's cutting up, let's go ahead and grab everything else we need. We just need one samarium dust, which we now have, and we should have everything we need now. So our superconductor is done. Nice. Back to circuit 1, 2 samarium, and 32 fine rubidite. That'll make us our coils. And I think we're good to get going. I think we can finally get ourselves our energy hatch and finally get our XL gas turbines. So 1 hatch. Craft that, please. We'll send everything down here into this chest if we have everything or not. What are you missing? Oh, does this also require a pump? Ah, okay. I was meant to make 4 pumps. I only made 3. So that's everything we need. So we should be actually good. Tier 6 complete. Nice. So that's the energy hatches done. And And actually, now that I think about it, we can actually put this down below. So we're going to be making our Xuron in this blast furnace right here. So if we come under here, remove the cable. We don't need that there anymore. Remove the fluid solidifier. Remove that cable there. Remove the hatch. Xuron is in here, and that's going to be made on circuit 6. I want to make sure auto eject, give it its mold, and we should see the energy hatch in here. Oh yeah, I forgot the IC2 coolant. That should craft it now. Oh, the data stick isn't in there. There we go. Now it's crafting. Right, LUV tier energy hatch. Connect you right here. We can actually go ahead and use the superconductor cable to connect it up. So LUV tier power outputs there. Connect you there, and we'll just run this across here. Okay, this thing should work, I hope. So how much Xuron are we actually going to require? So we're going to be setting up 8 large gas turbines. Have I not got the pattern for that? I thought I set up the pattern for the gas turbine. I haven't. Okay. So XL gas turbine is going to be this. I should have already all the patterns for it. And let me just double check. Xuron gears. Yeah, I've already got all the patterns for it. So you go in there. I don't think I have a pattern for this. So you craft them. All right. And if we look up our XL gas turbine, we said we're making 8. It says we have everything for it. Yep. Start. Yep, he's turned on, and it's going to take 360 seconds each. All right. So we'll just let those craft, and I'll see you back once all 8 of these guys have been crafted. And then we can finally start generating thousands upon thousands of EU. All right, so for the XL gas turbine, we need circuit 18 breakthrough. So in this one goes, put everything in, and I need to take out this helium and 1 stack of molten chrome. All right, and now the gas turbine's controller is finished. Right, so what we need to do now is clear some space. So let's just add these in here, take the whole chest, and time to not die, pretty much. If we break these guys right now while they're running, we could have an explosion on our hands, and I don't want that. So what we need to do is break all the pipes, let them run out of fuel, and then we should be good to break them all. So let's just remove all the pipes. This benzene tank, I'm going to have to set up over here. Just going to stick a pump on the top here just to export out into it. So what we need to do is break the pipe. So we'll start from here and then break the pipes all the way up the top. All right, all the pipes are broken. So we just need to wait for each one to shut down one by one. Should only take a couple of seconds for them all to shut down. And they're all done. So let's use our portable scanner here just to check the dynamo hatches. This one has 7,000 EU. This one only has 1,000 EU. All right, cool. So now we can go ahead and break the energy cable. And I don't know when the last time a backup was, but don't explode. Okay, we're good. All right, all the cables are more or less disconnected. We'll just remove the bottom one now. Even the wire going to the actual Labotronic supercapacitor. Now, the thing about this one is we're actually going to be adding a second input hatch. Because this one can only handle 64 amps. And after looking at the calculator and doing some math, I think each XL gas turbine is going to be producing about 16 amps of IV power. So if we're setting up 8 of them, we're going to have 124 amps of power coming in this thing. So of course, yeah, 164 amp is not going to be enough. So we're going to actually have to add a second one. But we'll do that after we got the turbines ready. So, oh yeah, now I need to get rid of all the redstone. Oh, they don't insta-break with the Vajra. All right, turbines have been cleared out. We might want to pick up the pace because we're going to run out of power if we don't hurry up soon. Well, then again, it says we have about 2 hours to empty, so we should be good. So, what we want to do is actually wall share some of these gas turbines. So, let's have a look at the multi-block here. Looking at it, it is a 7x7 by 9, okay? So let's find the center of the chunk and then work out from there. So the center of the chunk is along here, this block right here. This is the center of the chunk. So we want to go out 3 this way and then 3 this way, center, and then 1, 2, 3. 3 center, 1, 2, 3. Is that right? Nope, one more here. All right. Yeah. So yeah, one side is 1 block away from the chunk border, and the other side will be 2. All right. And then we do the same this way. So from the center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then from here, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, and then we just fill in this entire square. Definitely did get the measurements right, didn't I? Nope, it is definitely too long on top and bottom. I knew it looked a bit off. Yeah, that's better. All right, so 9 up from the center. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then the top block here will be our controller. Now, of course, it is facing the wrong way, but unfortunately, it doesn't actually turn. So we can rotate it, which I think it actually does, but not visually. So it should be facing south or east and west now. So when we use this guy here, a projector, it should auto build the entire multi-block for us. So let's just take out everything out of this chest here and let's build it. We just need to get on top. And if we preview the thing, we can see that they're running this way. So this is correct. So if we just hold shift and right click, it'll build it, or just hold right click. All right, multi-block complete. And of course, it's going to place some wrong items. I don't know why it does that. It seems to pull from our ME system if I have the wireless crafting terminal. As you can see, like I didn't have a super bus on me, but it seems to have pulled it. So we're going to remove the parts that it added, and then we'll replace those then with the casing and then add them in where they need to be then later. So we just need to do the same thing again with this one. So controller down. And if we preview it, you can see the turbine shaft is running this way. Right click it with the wrench. Preview again. Now you can see it's running the right way. And it's done. So that's essentially how we're building these guys. Because these guys would be way too big to build on their by hand. I don't know why some of them are showing and this one's not, but whatever. Remove these components and then we can get to work on actually connecting everything up correctly. So what I want to do is down here, this is where we're going to have the power output and the fluid input, I think. Is that the way I want to do it here? Yeah. So we're going to have a IV 64 amp dynamo hatch, a bit overkill since only one of them produces 16 amps. But there's no 32 amp one, so I want to make sure we're definitely getting every bit of power out of this thing that we can. So dynamo hatch. On top of that then is going to be the fluid input hatch. And for some reason, this thing requires an input and output bus. Why, I don't know. Sorry, not output bus, output hatch. So we can just hide those like just here. So input bus, output hatch. And we'll just hide those by facing them into each other. And then on the front here, this is where we'll add the maintenance hatch. And if we've done everything correctly, this thing should form. Yep, it formed. And did this one form? Yes, it did. Now for the muffler hatch, I'm just going to move them to the center here. And that's that. And then what we need to do is actually run. If I actually look in here, we should have some machine controller covers. We're going to put them here and here. We're still going to be able to redstone control this guy. So safe mode enable with redstone. And then we're going to grab out some redstone cable, the red ally one. And we're going to need some frames. So this will run across to here, run down the middle and connect over here. So if we go under here, we have our redstone line over there. We just want to run this way. That's going to break the connection. So I guess we'll have to do something like this. Run this down and connect our cable. And there we go. So the redstone control is now connected to the controllers. So what we need to do now is of course hook up the power and the fluid input. So power is going to point out the bottom. We're going to have to run that up now. So for the power cable, let me just empty my inventory quickly. And actually while we're at it, we might as well upgrade this guy as well. So we're going to be using a second IV energy hatch input. We're going to grab out some, I think 4 or 8x. Yeah, 8x superconductor wire. And we're just going to use some regular 4x as well. From under here. And of course, we're going to have to route this cable slightly different. Actually, it can actually go straight now. Because we're going to be breaking this here. Putting this there. Put the redstone alloy back. And inputs. Probably should have turned off the thing first. But should be fine. Back up and running. Yep, it's going to send power to where it needs to go. And now we can run our cables. So we're going to have a 8x, which can handle 96 amps. If we went any lower, the cable would burn out. And we're going to have the power cable run this line and then come straight this way. And that will be our power input connected now. So we are pretty much almost ready to go. the only thing we need to do is, of course, the maintenance and provide each one of these guys here with a turbine blade. And you can see all of the durabilities of the ones that were currently inside the thing. I'm actually curious just for a second. I wonder, does the input bus... Oh... So you can automate the turbine blades for this thing? Oh, that's actually really handy. Okay, that actually is really nice. That means I can just like have a fuel input buffer here. Oh, that's actually pretty cool. I didn't know it did that. But what the output hatch is for, I'm not 100% sure. But yeah, okay, if that's the case, we can just input them through an input bus. That makes our life way easier. So the last thing to do now is, of course, provide it with fuel. So this tank right here is full of benzene. We're going to remove that. Let me just empty it out over here. Never mind, that tank is full. I don't want to void it, so I'll just leave it in the system. And we want to change this one here. We'll just connect it right there. And we're going to change this one to nitrobenzene. Okay. So that one is now nitrobenzene. We're going to grab out some high pressure fluid pipe. And we're going to have to run this across. My only concern is we're going to be hitting that cable. I guess we're just going to have to loop under. Just before I connect the pipe down below, there's one thing I forgot to add to the input hatches. And that is a fluid regulator. And now that I think about it, yeah, this input hatch is way too big. I think we'd easily get away with just using an MV1. So fluid regulator on each one. And these ones, if you remember back on the old turbines, we were using -13. Well, for this one, we've used -48. So we'll have a flow rate of -960. And that should be more than enough then. And according to the calculator, let me just open it. This turbine should generate 134,400 EU. Only one way to find out. Let's get this thing fired up. This redstone should have turned on, right? Why hasn't the actual thing turned on? Enable with redstone, safe modes. This block here should be receiving redstone, in turn turning this guy on. All right, we'll turn it on by hand. Oh, wait, no, this one. No fuel. What do you mean? ME input hatch. Oh, I forgot to turn this guy at 148. All right, there we go. It turned on. Yeah, and it turned on automatically. This guy is now definitely working. This guy is just not turning on because he has no fuel. That's why. That's even why the number's not going up. It's constantly trying to be turned on. And it's generating power. And if we look at the top here, it's at nearly 60,000. We're looking for 134,400. Just about to hit 100,000. Oh, the number's climbing fast now. Will we hit the 134,000? I think we will. Yes! The exact number the calculator said. 134,400 EU a tick. UV tier power according to this. But that's only, well, I think 16 amps of IV. 16 and a half, I think. That's why we went to 64 amp one, because it's just over 16 amps. Cool. So all I have to do now is the same for this one. So let's run our pipe over. Did it turn on? Yes, it did. And this guy should generate the same amount of power. How are we doing in our battery bank? Okay, we're inputting 170, 176, 183. Oh yeah, this is going to be great. Now, once we have all 8 of these built, we're going to be generating some serious power. And we're going to need it when we get into LUV multi-blocks. So yeah, let me go ahead and build the other 6. All right, it's taken a few hours because I did run out of the turbine casing, but I finally gotten enough, and all 8 large gas turbines are now built. Okay, let's turn this thing on and actually see how much power all of these together now generate. So we were generating close to 300,000 EU beforehand. And I did notice when I had these 4 going, it did hit about 500,000. So I'm expecting over 1 million EU to be generated here. Okay, we just need to let them all spin up to 100% turbine speed. We're at 50% already. So we should be about 600,000. Okay, it's actually a lot less than I thought. But hopefully When everything's fully... Oh, wait, these guys aren't turning. Oh, I see. That'll be why. I think I forgot to connect up the rest of the piping or the cabling down below. Now they should be on. No? Why are you not turned on? Did I forget to add the machine controller? No. Enable with redstone. Redstone's coming through. Enable with redstone. Why are you not turning on? You have no fuel. How is that possible? Oh, I already set this. Did I accidentally back out before I confirmed it? Now it's running. Okay, that was the issue. All right, so we'll just give it a couple of seconds to spin up. How much power are we generating right now? There should be about 6 of them definitely going. 900,000 EU. 950. Okay. I think we're going to hit over the 1 million mark. Yeah, this thing is maxed out now. I have noticed it has clocked out at 126,000 EU. But then for some reason, after a couple of minutes, it does jump up to the actual, like, there, you can see the power is climbing again. So it should do the same here after a couple of seconds. I don't know if it's just some sort of internal buffer. It has to do something with the hatch. I don't know. So this thing should hit the right amount. This one here just went up to 134,000. Hopefully this one does the same thing soon. Yeah, 134,000. Okay, this is the only one that's not doing it. Why? I don't know. But we'll leave her for a while, but it should hit it. So yeah, there we go. Over 1 million EU input. It's going to take less than 20 minutes to fill, and this is half full already. So roughly, it's going to take about 40 minutes to fill from empty. Oh, wait, no, the timer just jumped down. That means this guy here just went up to 134,000. Yes, he did. Okay, so yeah, just under 20 minutes to fill right now. So 40 minutes to fill the entire thing. That is not bad at all. Okay, so I apologize if this video is fairly long. Not much I can do about it unless I was to split this into 2 episodes, but I wanted to get it all done in one. And I do expect there will be more episodes in the future that might be a bit long, especially now that we're getting into like the deep and more like complex stuff of gtnh. So hope you all enjoyed, and if you did, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and hit the notification bell while you're at it then as well. So without any further ado, goodbye.